A warm welcome to all the speakers and delegates who have joined us for this session. A very interesting topic, cloud. For years, the media and entertainment industry has resisted adoption of cloud-based infrastructure, but spurred by disruptions in the M&E sector, digital technology advances and changing consumer preferences, the resistance has reached a tipping point and the journey to the cloud has begun in earnest. Shifting consumer viewing habits, new content, delivery demands, digital technology innovations, increasing competition and COVID-19 related complexities are amongst the trends disrupting the already dynamic M&E market. So I would like to start the session with my first question to Manoj. Manoj, AWS works with global M&E customers. So what are the typical challenges that you see and how is AWS geared to help them?
Good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible. Okay. Hey, Manoj, thank you for having me here. It's a privilege to be in front of the audience with my esteemed panel here. So thank you for inviting me. In AW, we have seen, I'll categorize the problems and these concerns that media customers are raising into 5 or 6 different bullet points. The first one is there is an unprecedented demand for content. Consumers want fresh content, new content at a faster pace. That's one of the grievances or that's one of the concerns that are raised by many customers. The second is there is so much amount of content that is lying in tapes and the other formats, which definitely needs to be monetized and added value to it. So that's the second thing that I'm hearing from all the customers globally. The third point is very interesting. It's about direct to consumer. Everybody wants the content while they're on the move. So how does a content owner or a broadcaster try to get there is what the third point that I'm hearing. The fourth one is how do you have broadcast operations more optimized? How can you distribute better content? How can you be agile? That's the fourth thing that I'm hearing. And with so much content, petabytes of data flowing in and out, people are really wanting to analyze how do I better the ROI of the content? How do I understand what the consumer demand is? How can I personalize it? How can I generate more revenue? So what we, answering your question, what we at AWS do, we basically created industry innovation centers across 5 or 6 different verticals, starting from content production, media supply chain, broadcast, D2C, and ad tech and monetization. So that's how, because every IIC is led by an expert, that's how the problems that are faced by a content production is very different from the problems faced by an analytics person, and that's how we help customers globally. I hope that answers your...
Yeah. Rajat, I would like to, as one of the leading broadcasters, what are some of the new customer trends that you're seeing in the cloud domain and...
Okay, good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
No, I think you need to hold it a little bit.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah.
Is it okay? Okay, thank you. Well, first on the subject of this panel discussion, driving innovation and transformation in broadcast and entertainment with cloud computing. I would feel the moment we talk about, we call it broadcast, we tend to sort of attach ourselves with legacy and some baggage. So if we go back to the history, it used to be terrestrial transmission, wherein the local content used to be put out. Then there was a broadcast to narrowcast, and then the modes changed to satellite and the streaming, and now back to customized content delivery, which is again local. So from local to local, it's if we really see. So rather than broadcast was one of the mode. I feel media is a generic thing with which we all should assign ourselves, and the industry should assign to it. And with respect to television, to me, the future of television is television. The future of TV is TV. It's not going to change. It's only the mode of delivery may change. It's a hybrid environment. We initially, like as I said, it was terrestrial, then satellite to streaming. So the mode of delivery would change, but at the end of the day, it has to be television. The sizes of the screen may change, but it would be television. So that's not going to change. Now, why the hybrid environment? And that's where in your relevant question, what we have done is we are focusing again like more on all the ecosystems to be coexisting. So, for example, satellite remains. Satellite doesn't go off. And satellite, if we talk about cloud, satellite is our cloud when we talk about satellite broadcasting. So the digital part, again, digital deliveries, because the consumers, and we all are part of the consumers, we are very, very demanding. So that is wherein the content to be delivered wherever we are, on whatever device we want to do it. So we as a content, as a organization, we are looking to provide content to whosoever is our consumer, be on a connected device or a cord-cut television or a mobile app or anything for that matter, even like the medical equipment like the CT scan. There too, now that the MRI, they have a screen inside wherein the patient, when he goes inside, he or she goes inside, because it's around 15 to 20 minutes it takes. There is a screen inside wherein the content can be consumed. So we intend to provide content to wherever it is possible to be done. And that's the sole approach that we want to take it. It's not like moving away from satellite. We would want to remain on satellite as well as digital. So wherever it is, that would be our approach. Thank you.
Kingshuk, coming to you, how are you making your broadcast operations agile? Sony is one of the leading broadcasters. So how do you look at this?
Morning, everybody. Thanks, Manoj. In fact, I must tell you, we were pretty much on-premise workflow till the pandemic hit us, right? When the pandemic hit us, we realized having everything where people need to congregate at one place is not next to possible, and that is something that we need to change. And since then, we haven't looked back, and all our operations are currently available on cloud as well. Our content is available on the cloud. We can go about doing any kind of production, post-production, or any sort of workflow without ever hitting the office or any specific brick and mortar location. This has been the premise on which we've been building ourselves and our capabilities. As Rajat mentioned very correctly, that content is consumed by various means of deliveries, right? And these various means of deliveries will keep on changing upon as technology advances. Satellite technology was the primary source few years back for distributing the signals. Nowadays, there are many more possibilities, which opens up a lot of opportunities. Opportunities for technology, opportunities for talent, opportunities for everybody. When I look at the possibilities that the cloud technology or the cloud computing will bring to the table, I think the most important part is we will be able to use intelligence, which is more than human intelligence. And we're talking about artificial intelligence, gathering more and more machine learning opportunities. And that is what I think I'm looking forward to. And we've been working very closely within the group with our partners. And AWS is one such partner that we've been working very closely with. And I can tell you what's in store and what's coming up is going to be very, very exciting. Without divulging too much of information at this moment, I would let that opportunity, whenever it is ready for unleashing, let that be experienced by people, and let technology take its time. It's got a gestation period. It's got some testing times. I think we're going through all of that. Once it is ready, it will be an exciting phase. But one thing is very, very clear. The brick and mortar location of production and post-production where legacy was concerned, I think that has got to change now. It's time that we think in a way where if I'm a talent, earlier I need to go to a certain place to do my job, get my work done. I think that is going to change. If you look at it from a very, very positive point of view, there are humongous opportunities that will come up. And I think that's the most exciting part of this entire advancement of technology.
Thank you. Harish, I would like to take you take the next question. Since you're born in the cloud, what is the benefit that your customers are seeing? And give us some examples, experiences, focusing on the efficiencies on the cloud.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Manoj, for inviting me here, and thank you, panelists. What we have seen is that we are at Post Studio. We are catering to the younger generation of the creators. So we are trying to reimagine the way the post production is done. There are multiple ways the cloud adoption has transformed the way we produce content and so on. It started with the downstream activities of distribution and so on, and then the media supply chain saw the invention and so on. What we are now trying to cater to is the production cycle of the use of cloud in the content production cycle, and post production being the key part of that life cycle. We are completely reimagining that. With Post Studio, we've been able to bring in the flexibility and the freedom to the creation space. What with that, any creator able to work from anywhere. So, like King Shuk just mentioned, during the pandemic, we all have seen the kind of struggle that the content production went through. Entire post production was halted, which was not necessary. We all struggled to move our systems and machines to editors' homes and so on. And that was the big eye opener for everyone in the industry. Still, a lot of the industry is working in silos. The content has to is producing at one location, and it is being done at multiple different locations, and we are not able to manage the creation in a much collaborated way. So with cloud, we've been able to unlock those opportunities of collaborated creation. And with that comes many of the other flexibilities of having to move files lesser, address the security challenges. When you talk about cloud, two things comes to everybody's mind. One is the cost, and second is the security. Every broadcaster, every producer talks about these two aspects. But what we've been able to address is that with cloud also comes with architecture of flexible architecture. You are able to bring your cost. You can make your production very cost efficient, and security has been one of the key component that we've been working on, where you are centrally storing something, and with access control and better management of your encryption and so on, you're able to produce content at global scale without agnostic to any kind of a geographical constraint.
Any examples you would like to highlight?
So we recently did a project which was a global scale project. The project was done by a Malaysian production house for a Singaporean channel, produced in India. Post production was done in multiple cities across India, between Mumbai, Hyderabad, Chennai, and Bangalore. And it was 8 different countries coming together and doing that entire post-production in 4K. So this was a global scale creative collaboration that we did. And all of this was done natively on 4K on our platform. Thanks to the AWS infrastructure, which was the backend, powered the whole the infrastructure layer to it. But what we've been able to achieve with this is that collaborated creation, and that's what is the future of content production, is what I see.
Interesting. Anupam, I would like you to take the next one. You're also helping global customers move to cloud. How are you able to modernize and transform media supply chain at scale?
So I think most of us agree that cloud is not if, but when. Can you hear me? So the cloud journey is not if but when right now. So we are all. But one question which everyone seems to skip is what and how. Because when you move your on-prem workloads, and if you have 15 servers on-prem and you're migrating it to cloud, that doesn't make it cloud. So how do you leverage the efficiency, the scale, the flexibility of cloud? And one example for me was for Channel 4, which is a public broadcaster in the UK. We migrated 7.5 petabyte of their content, 1.25 million assets to cloud. But that's not the highlight of it. Highlight was how did we create a real-time content exchange for their supply chain. Both upstream and downstream supply chain knew exactly where the content was. If any schedule change was there, the upstream and downstream supply chain knew that this schedule has changed and how does cascades into overall impact. The second thing is, again, as I said, scale and flexibility of cloud. If you have a 4-hour match footage and you want to transcode that, in Channel 4 we pioneered something called split and stitch, where you can split that 4-hour footage into 400 chunks. Cloud gives you that flexibility that you can load 400 VMs in an instant, transcode it, stitch it back into 3 minutes. So you don't need 4 hours. So in on-prem world, this was done in a real-time manner where 4 hours will take 4 hours. In cloud, if you are putting that same workflow, you are not leveraging cloud. You have to rethink the way you are doing. And this, all of us have been guilty of mailing our approval letters, printing and signing it. That's what I call is paper workflow in a digital world. And this is where I think right now world is, where they are taking the traditional workflow and trying to migrate that to cloud. And this is where we are helping broadcasters and content owners and OTTs across the world on how do you think cloud and not just take your on-prem workflows onto the cloud.
Coming to you, Jay, what are the next-gen distribution trends that you're seeing?
Thanks a lot for having me over. See, the main industry phenomenon that's driving this whole diversified distribution, like pretty much everybody in the panel has spoken about, is the diversification of the media supply chain itself. Because broadcast still continues to be the dominant delivery mechanism as well as the monetization mechanism for the content partners. But clearly, year over year, there is a steady organic decline, right? So the key things that as a content owner or a rights owner, everybody is looking at is how am I going to unify my entire people, process and technology to take care of broadcast, fast, AVOD, SVOD, maybe potentially having some short form content which you can monetize on the likes of YouTubes and the TikToks of the world, potentially podcasts. And if you look at it, more and more content owners are looking at how they can have content in one place and they can still monetize it across all these, right? Most of them are doing this today, but the key thing is that the way they are making the content, moving the content and monetizing the content is still driven to the lowest common denominator, right? So what that essentially means is that given that a lot of the infrastructure is going to be on-prem, you're not able to really have the content tagged across all these different mechanisms. The distribution mechanisms are different. Conversion of maybe a landscape video that you have into a portrait so that you can quickly go into shots and associate it to possibly a consumer who wants to come on to the broadcast channel. So those are the main trends that we see on the whole broadcast side, where we need to optimize the current which is happening on the broadcast while we are also able to participate in all the other distribution mechanisms. So what that also means is in a multilingual country like India or in Asia where they are operating multiple regions, even the broadcast feeds, more and more broadcasters are starting to accept feeds over IP rather than just taking a standard satellite feed. So I can give you an example of a broadcaster, let's say in Southeast Asia, where if you're going to have badminton, right? It is a very heavily Southeast Asian dominated sport. If you have one broadcast channel, you're just carrying the center court game, right? But your audience in Thailand wants to watch a court 3 game where the Thai player is playing. So by just putting it on satellite, you're not actually fully maximizing the audience and giving the best experience to your audience, right? So the main things that even on the sports people are looking at it, can I just pop up a channel and deliver it to the broadcaster in Thailand, which may not be showing a center court game, while maybe the rest of the regions are seeing the feed which is coming over the satellite. So these are things which are a lot easier on the cloud because you're not going to have idle hardware sitting around just for these edge cases where you may want to use it maybe 3 hours every week. And that's where I think the real power of cloud is, where it really gives you the mechanism to be reactive to what you need within a week rather than having a 6-month, 7-month planning cycle, right? So I think those are broadly the trends that we are seeing globally, and it's continuing to happen very closely here in Asia, and I'm sure in India as well.
Manoj, I would like you to take this one. What are the new monetization trends that AWS is seeing globally?
Okay, fine. I think I loved what Rajat said. The future of television is television. I think we all completely agree with that and say that while somebody is watching television, how the mode of the content is reached is something that is different. Having said that, at the end of the day, all these businesses that are in M&E need to somewhere or the other monetize and make money. So answering your question, I'll classify it into maybe 3 buckets. One, let me talk about the advertising area, where how can you actually monetize and how are we seeing those large media customers able to monetize. So the biggest of that is if I am able to know a customer better by personalizing the content to him, by recommending the relevant content to them, we have seen that the engagement matrix increases at least by 20 to 25%. There are many reference case studies which has denoted that. Once you increase the engagement level, then obviously you will be able to monetize him better because you can run more ads accordingly. The second is knowing who the right target audience is. So understanding the customer 360 degree of that particular customer, putting data into it and trying to see how we can target it. When you come to subscription, basically how can I help him reduce churn, which is one of the most important. The churn can be voluntary churn or an involuntary churn, but a good subscriber management system or a lifecycle management system can help you to do that. And the third is on the content itself. You've got petabytes of content lying with you in your archival. Are you able to monetize that by spinning it into some sort of monetization channels that can reach the customer, which can be event-based? That's another area where we are founding. And some of the other trends that we are seeing is, how do I add an object into a content, whereby replacing a particular brand which is there on live, while the same rights can be given on digital. But the futuristic thing that we are seeing globally is about, how do I converge the broadcast and the digital? Because at some point your broadcast has got a definite mechanism by which you will monetize. Imagine I drop an ad on the broadcast and I know that the same profile of audience is available somewhere else on the digital platform. And if I can monetize that, then the make good does not have to be given to the customer and I can make money. So there is convergence which is definitely going to happen in a big way. And these are 4 or 5 areas where I feel I'm hearing from customers on the monetization strategies of the future.
Okay. Rajat, I would pose the next question to you. What would be an ideal newsroom of the future and how can cloud help in this transformation?
Well, I'm happy you asked the question about monetization to Manoj, because Manoj and AWS and similar organizations are only making money. When we are talking about media, we all are struggling. With respect to news, or for that matter, again, like I would say, any content. So Manoj rightly pointed out, it is the converged environment. And in our organization as well, we have integrated newsrooms, which so it's a single newsroom which serves for digital, which serves for broadcast. So it's an integrated workflow, and happy to share that recently we have commissioned our facility in Noida, and that is arguably supposed to be the biggest media facility at a single place globally. That has got more than 1400 plus seat digital integrated newsroom for all of our products, all of our national news channels, plus the digital products of news18.com or First Post, Money Control and all. So that's something which is there. But then this is certainly an evolving field. The workflows are getting evolved. The efficiencies have to be enhanced all the time. As we say, innovation is the key, certainly. But innovation has to be on a continuous basis. We do the innovation, it becomes a commodity immediately. So you need to continuously do the innovations, disrupt or you get disrupted. That's what, as the saying goes. Use of cloud here in my take on cloud is something. Cloud is a bit overused term. The day when I had started accessing my content on your system, That was the first cloud. Your system was my cloud. So we tend to sort of converge when we say about cloud, public cloud and private cloud. These are two different things. All of us work on a cloud environment. Now, there are certain applications which could work better on a public cloud. Else, the private cloud certainly is there. Like for when we talk about news network of my organization, we have more than 20 news channels, and they all work on a cloud which is a private cloud integrated to each other. And we are able to develop and generate all cloud native applications which provide us all the flexibility to do content collaboration as well as the security and the content management. Now, when we talk about the distribution, that is wherein the public cloud comes into picture, because the term of elasticity, or for that matter, with the time you can spin more infra, is possible in public cloud. But then for me, that is required only when I am talking about the distribution. For the production, the private cloud serves me well. More importantly, the cost part. The whole of industry today is working more than the revenue model, it is more working on a cost model. News channels, they have converted into a views channel, because news breaks on social media today. There is no news which breaks on news channel today. It is more about views. For entertainment, there is a competition with respect to the OTT and the type of content. When we talk about linear television, traditional channel, there is a framework on which you can work. But in OTTs, the content syntax and content verbs would change. Similarly, on the sports, what we could do it on a digital, certainly you cannot do it on a television, though it's about a experience. Digital, like we did IPL, we could provide multiple camera views to the audience, to the consumers, the graphics, the interactivity and all. Wherein in television, it becomes a linear single dimensional feed. So on the distribution side, certainly there is a requirement of cloud, and the technologies with respect to the experience and the performance continue to grow, continue to get evolved, and we are focused on that.
Thank you. Kingshuk, how do you see the extension of workflow automation in cloud for increased efficiency?
Thanks, Manoj. Again, I think the most important part for us right now is to evolve into an advanced setup where we not only build something which is something innovative, it has to be for the public. When I say public, it means it's not only meant for our captive usage, it can be used by the broadcast industry in India as per se. There are a lot of post-production workflows that we are trying to migrate to the cloud workflow. In fact, that's been the biggest challenge, because I think when you talk about other genres, you have a captive talent pool, whereas in entertainment, and that's what we major in, we also have to deal with outside producers, and getting everybody to embrace something which is going to be beneficial for everybody. I think that's the most important thing. You can do a lot of things with a captive audience. Sports, like for instance, is more captive, because a lot of people in sports are working within that group. So it's easier to get the guys in sports shift into a workflow which is more, advanced. For us, I think we are taking an entire look on the entire way we look at production and post-production. That is something that we are actively working on, and we hope that besides us, there should be some sort of a democratization of all the clouds. As Rajat mentioned it, that there are public clouds and there are private clouds. And I think there has to be a certain amount of amalgamation of all these technologies to make the last mile guy either a broadcaster or a talent or a consumer, embrace this entire technology much more efficiently. I think that is what's required to be done.
Monetization is the key for any business. Jay, how are you helping content owners monetize?
So, I mean, traditionally, right, if you look at broadcast and entertainment has not been looking at some of the key metrics which is there in a lot of the other industries from a consumer standpoint, right? I mean, typically if you look at things like cost of acquiring a customer or lifetime value of a consumer are all things that traditionally have not been thought through in broadcast and entertainment, because the way the monetization happened was largely I'm going to produce a content. If I'm going to talk to an SWOT player, I'm going to be licensing the content, or I'm going to be putting it on broadcast against an MG. So some of these viewership metrics were not something which traditionally broadcast and entertainment have been looking at, right? So the main thing that we are helping our customers largely monetize is on the variety of these things, right? Because there is going to be very clear windowing, and in various different markets, there are different monetization mechanisms. One, of course, is I'm sure that Amagi's brand association with FAST is very strong, which, of course, is one of the tools that we do have within the overall, I would say, the Swiss knife that we have, because there is certain kind of content, especially when it comes to advertising. Just throwing like 100 assets, let's say, of a stand-up comedy in an A-ward is a very poor customer experience, right? And you're also not doing full justice to the monetization, because if somebody is going to be coming into your app and spending like 25 minutes browsing the catalog, you've not monetized. So the sheer part is you need to look at the kind of content and you need to deliver the content in the right format for monetization. So there are things like a new movie that you're doing, that lends itself for award viewing, because it's going to be on the top carousel, you're going to monetize it. While for long tail content, fast is the right way, right? Or maybe you're going to create some short form content and monetize it on YouTube. The other main thing that we do see with monetization increasingly in forms of content, especially around factual entertainment, food, travel, even music to an extent, is that we do see more and more non-video advertising as well, with things like in-content advertising and digital brand insertion and things like that. So we work with some of our food channels. At the production time, there is no brand which is kept, but there is today technologies available where you can meta tag saying that there is an inventory available on the cooking table, where when you are going to be distributing the content to the end user, you can maybe actually place a sauce bottle there. And that's an extremely valuable inventory. I mean, if you look at it, the kind of CPMs that you're going to get, which is so contextual and relevant, is a lot higher than we kind of still sticking on to that 30-second ad spot, which is, of course, very important from a streaming standpoint. But there are newer ad units that are coming in as well, which is being embraced by the ad ecosystem as well. I mean, the likes of the ad networks and ad exchanges are also increasingly recognizing these ad units, and we can programmatically fill these ad units as well, right? So those are big trends that we do see happening in pretty much any non-live content. And if you take live content with things like sports, so if you do still look at a lot of our sports content is produced for broadcast, and in streaming we are literally just taking it, putting it through an encoder, burning a logo and letting it go, primarily because we don't see that the monetization is going to be worth the squeeze, where I'm going to be doing a separate playout or having separate graphics targeted at individual users and things like that. But there are other players who are doing it quite successfully, and we do see as streaming becomes a bigger part of our even live content viewership, especially around sports, we do see that there are a lot of new ad units coming up within the sports, which is going to deliver a lot more value to our viewers, especially for tier 2, tier 3 sports, because the tier 1 sports are still going to be largely license based and fee based, but the viewers today need a lot more sports than what is being covered by the tier 1.
A couple of more questions before we wind up. I would like to ask Harish, how are you geared up to help studios be more agile?
Yeah. So this ecosystem is a very vast one. India produces about 168,000 hours of content on an annual basis. And it is completely comprised of multiple small and mid-scale studios. They're all producing the content on like a factory on a daily basis. What we see is that most of them are not technologically so advanced and so on. And the cloud journey for them has been, we need to educate a lot to adapt to a cloud-based workflows and so on. So what been able to with Post Studio, what we've been able to give them a platform where they can come and experience in a more plug and play kind of a model. They can choose what they want to work on. They can decide the kind of a systems that they want to work on, the kind of a software they want to work on, the kind of a plugins and so on. All of that choice that they get, the freedom that they get, is something it's kind of a very click and experience kind of a consumer experience that they get. Plus, what we have also introduced the extended the pay as you go, pay as you use kind of a commercial model, which makes it more easier for our studios to experience the cloud journey for them. And once they get used to this workload coming on, post-production work happening on the cloud, and they see that collaborated thing is also additionally they are able to manage with the talent working from various different regions and so on. They as studios, they will be able to cater to the workloads coming from different regions and different borders. So now they are not limited to the one geography that they are based in. So a studio based in Mumbai does not have to just cater to the Mumbai-based requirement. Now they are able to cater to the various across regions and so on. So that's the agility and flexibility that we are offering to the studios.
Thank you. Very briefly, I would like to touch upon two aspects. Anupam, where do you see generative AI helping in content production?
So generative AI in particular and AI in general, I think Bill Gates famously said that we overestimate what can be done in 6 months and underestimate what can be done in 6 years. I think we are at the same stage in the AI where we are overestimating what can be done in 6 months, but underestimating what can be done in 6 years. And that's why we are taking a platform approach to it. What platform approach does is we are not putting all our eggs into one basket, we are hedging our bets. And this platform is a highway that controls and orchestrates various third-party AI engines and homegrown AI engines to give the flexibility to the end consumer to use whatever they want. Today, one public cloud speech-to-text is better than others. Tomorrow, if you want to change it, just change it on the platform. You are not tied to any single provider. Second thing, as Rajat and Kingshuk mentioned, that amalgamation of AI is what we are doing. And I'll give you the same example for speech-to-text, for example. All engines have their own advantages and disadvantages. But if each of the engine has 85% confidence and you take all three engines together, you get to a 90-95% confidence. So amalgamation of different technologies give you much higher confidence there. Again, we're using generative AI in every stage. For example, when you get a news from your stinger, your producer can ask generative AI to summarize what is the news about before he puts it in the post-production. We are giving it to our dubbing artists for synthetic voice creation. We are giving it to our scripting guys to give them ideas. Sometimes they are so tired that they don't come up with new ideas. So give it to them to spark that inspiration for them. We are using it for reframe, where horizontal to vertical videos are recreated using generative AI. But more than everything, I think more and more of these use cases will keep coming. But this platform approach is where everyone will move to, where no single provider will provide all the solution, and you have to hedge your bets till it concludes on which way the coin is going to fall.
Interesting. Before I ask my last question to Manoj, I would like to invite all the panelists and the speakers to an exclusive showcase of future of cinema production on AWS and future of broadcast technology on AWS. This is happening just adjacent to the lift on the room number 301, the executive board room. So there are extensive workshops scheduled till 3 to 4 p.m. starting from 11 o'clock. My last question to you, Manoj. What are the trends you're seeing in live production?
Good that you asked me. I think live production is one of the most, happening part in terms of a broadcaster for two reasons, obviously. Because that is basically where I started off with an unprecedented demand of content. So typically what happens is that live production on cloud, for example, I don't want to break the suspense here because like what Manoj said, we have a complete demo of what you can do right from the time you ingest the content How can you do your edit post-production on that? How can you have a virtual PCR completely running on cloud? How can you integrate it with newsroom or anything else into it? And how can do you do a play out? But what I would categorically like to bring out is why it is more important more from a revenue optimization or monetization perspective. Live production on clouds help you in two ways because typically what we are seeing across content creators are that there are 2 or 3 events that happen simultaneously. It's difficult for them to travel across 3 areas and come back. So can you do it remotely, live production? Yes, it is possible. We have also tested live production on sports with our partners where we have demonstrated how can you transfer an uncompressed video over the net. So that is also possible. And the third is if you want to spin up a particular news channel on the cloud or you want to do something where you want to experience it. For example, one of the broadcasters actually came to us and said that they want to start their operations in Dubai. They've got the licenses, but they don't know whether it will work or not from a market test perspective. How can you spin a live channel end-to-end on cloud, test it on your internet or using web and spin off whenever it is not required? There are other cases of event-based. For example, if it's a vacation-based area where the kids want to watch really a content, you have a repository of all the content like what Jay said. Can you spin a channel immediately and try to monetize on cloud? Yes, it's possible. So there are many areas of that, but I would request all of you and our esteemed panelists also to please come and have a look at 2 things that we are trying to showcase. One is future of cinema production from live from Annapurna Studios, how camera to cloud movement can happen seamlessly. And on the other end, how we are trying to demonstrate with all our partners on how can you have a partner interoperability. So these are the 2 things. So I don't want to break much suspense here, but I would invite all of you to please be there.
Thank you, Manoj. Cloud is here to stay, and we are going to see a lot of exciting transformations and innovations in the near future. So with that, I would like to hand over to Mansi for the next proceedings.
Thank you, dear panelists, for the very informative panel discussion. And while we are waiting to attend the AWS workshop, before that, I would like to request Varun Gaba, Portfolio Director, Nürnberg Messe India, to please hand over the mementos to our esteemed panelists.